Great. So long overdue on my channel. I have the pleasure inviting back Chanti and Morne from Aquarius Rising Africa 2 and Solutions with Aquarius Rising. And as always, the links will be below because I know sometimes when people just put Aquaria Rising and things, it doesn't bring up the right channel. So
Yeah.
before we get stuck into a really, really important subject that we're going to be talking today, how are you both doing? We'll start with ladies first. How are you doing, Shanti?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. And I think we just spoke off air. I lost my kitty cat this morning. My old boy, Madiba, he's 17. He turned 17 on the 16th of July. In fact, his numerology is 777. He was born on the 16th of July 2005 under my bed. And it was, yeah, very sad. But I made the choice this morning. I knew last night, he was still okay yesterday. I knew it had to happen within the next few days. But last night, just the way he meowed, I knew, because I said to him, you need to let me know when you want to go. I knew then. I said, okay, my boy, this morning. So I called the vet this morning, and two amazing ladies came out, and they did it literally within half an hour of my call. They were here, and we set him free, and it was beautiful because since last night, I said to him, I just got the idea to play the singing bowls to him to prepare him. And I said, which bowl do you want? And he showed me the bowl that Dominic, my late partner, had bought me, the first bowl. And he was a little kitten at the time. And he asked for that bowl. So I sat and I played that bowl all the way through. Mm. And he left.
Today.
Mm. And I buried him literally an hour before the show started. So, yeah, he's peaceful. Madiba, he's beautiful, and he was such a gentle, beautiful soul. Never hunted. Whenever any cats came into the home, any of the new cats came in, he would always welcome them, and he was always the kind one. You know, he was really beautiful, true little Cancerian kitty cat, and it was so crazy, just to pick him up and wrap him up, and just this little frail body because he'd lost a lot of weight at the end. But yeah, I'm blessed that he chose me, and I set him free. Hmm. Sorry,
Oh,
I
thank
didn't mean
you for
for
sharing
this.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
Big
it's
hug, big hug, big
big,
hug.
big group hugs. Everyone listening
Uh,
knows what it's like because all our listeners are animal lovers. And oh dear, I
yeah,
just realized I had this tissue here. And it's such a gift, I think before we get on to you, Mona, it's such a gift that a lot of times, a lot of the medics, a lot of the vets and people in those professions get a hard time. But I'm like you, I'm so lucky that I managed to have a vet that most of the time, not all the time, in fact, really tragically, not all the time, but they've been able to come out to the house and do that. And it just makes such a difference. And,
yeah,
fostering these relationships with your vets is so important because it is something so important, these decisions we have to make for our animals. But when we can do it in a way like that, it just makes all the difference. So thank you to all the vets out there who
absolutely.
provide this service for us in in the animal's hour of need and in our hour of need. I've got some amazing ones that make such a
So
difference.
much. It's the first time I've sat and had watched one of my animals euthanized, and it was so amazing. She talked me through the process, and she explained what
Mm.
could happen, what would happen. Um, but it was amazing because he just left, and it was so incredible because their bedside manner is so important, and it was really amazing how the timing and everything worked. And you know how crazy, because my mum was with me, and of course my mum had a little dog, Jack Russell Oscar, who he also lived 13 or 14 years, and Oscar, she also had to have him put down in the same way and was there at the end. And then this morning she said, I just get a feeling we must bury Madiba and Oscar's ashes must go there. And she had them in a little box, nicely wrapped up. And the date of Oscar's cremation was the same day of Madiba's birthday.
Wow.
Oscar
Wow.
was cremated on the 16th of July, 2020. So she's had the ashes since then. And Madiba's birthday turned 17 on the 16th of July. And the two of them, you know, when my parents were traveling, Oscar would come and stay with us. So he was like my little dog as well. He was like, they were like brothers. So that was a really beautiful thing. We buried them together, the ashes and what have you. And I just found that so incredible that this morning, when my mum brought out Oscar's box of ashes, the date of the cremation was Madiba's birthday.
It's
It
amazing.
shows me. Mm,
No such thing as coincidence.
absolutely.
Coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous.
Oh, I love that, Morne. It's so, so true. Thank you
It's
so
so
much for sharing that, Shante. I think, you know, that,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh,
Thank you.
Morne, how are you doing?
well heavy right now, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I can't complain. We're busy and creating solutions to this world right now. Well, we've been busy creating solutions for many years right now, but I think we were just training for this moment. And just speaking about our pets right now, I mean, how many solutions have our pets not given us? I mean, we as animal lovers, in moments of sadness, and maybe moments of confusion, as an animal communicator, I mean, my pets have given me solutions to a lot of things, things I couldn't even understand within my family. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing good and looking forward to this episode. Sorry, dogs are going
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And this is going to be a really important episode and something that just three of us are so passionate about. So what we wanted to talk today is about facing the fears of things that might be coming, because we're going to talk about all the distractions that we've been seeing in various different areas of the micro and macrocosm, and also looking for the gifts and the lessons in those, because you know we talk a lot about the universe has got our back and that we all create our own reality, and I know that's something that the three of us all strongly believe in, but we can't pick and choose which bits of our reality. So therefore there's always a gift and in a lesson, despite
Absolutely.
how initially scary that situation might feel to us. So Chanti, you were raising some really good points earlier about, you know, the possibilities of there's so many distractions around at the moment, and what might they be trying to distract us from.
Absolutely. You know, I think I feel so blessed to be in the position that I'm in and to be speaking to so many amazing people across the world. I really do. Not just on amazing platforms such as this, that I'm so grateful that, Catherine, we also have you in our tribe that puts out this kind of stuff. You know, you do it with your crowd, we do it with our crowd, and we kind of collect our tribe as we go along, which I'm loving this process. One of the things is I'm very blessed, and I speak to, you know, in the overcomer community, I speak to a lot of people, and many of them are high level overcomers who've been subjected to horrific things. Some of them have gone public, others not. But I spend a lot of time speaking with them, and what I've noticed lately is, and I've said this a lot, is there, if we're looking in our survivor slash, I call them overcomer community, especially, and even in, let's just call it the truther community, there is so much fighting and in-house stuff going on. So I said to myself, and I thought, no man, this is a distraction for something. You know, even in our truther community, there's and I'm like, BS. We've been talking about finding our sovereignty, being true to ourselves. So we all know this stuff, okay? So when we get to know this stuff and we do it, then in my opinion, that triggers you to ask more questions. Now that I'm aligned with my creator, my source, God, God is saying to me, look there, look there, look there. Don't look there, look there. God doesn't tell me what to see. God just shows me where to look. And with all of this distraction going on right now in the community, because there's a lot of in-house fighting and a lot of this and that one calling that one. It's like, no, 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 this is not what it's about. So I had a very interesting conversation with one of the whistleblowers, top whistleblowers, who said to me, you just got to look at what's going on. We know it. We have to know it. Rising fuel costs means rising food costs, right? And we understand the whole agenda is to break the farming background.
Yeah.
Because farming creates food. And really, and we understand where we're going. For example, we have no food. I mean, they don't need farmers, pretty much. Everything's going to be artificial, okay? So bottom line is that things like imminent food shortages are very much on the cards, right? We in Africa have been having load shedding and power shedding for a decade. It's now starting to happen in Australia. It's now starting to happen in Germany. And I'm told in America as well. So slowly but surely the rest of the world is going to start getting power outages, okay? And that means fear, poverty consciousness, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. The scarcity consciousness is what they're triggering next. So we just have to do the opposite of what they want, or what they're telling us to do. This is very clear to me. So let's not get caught up in everyone's fights and lies and bullshit and fighting and mudslinging. Let us, now that we've become strong, understanding, looking around more, eyes wide open, not eyes wide shut anymore. We're looking at the world with eyes wide open now, not just seeing but not seeing. So now we're seeing the imminent truth is, do you know that they started firing missiles from Taiwan, I think it was, a day or two ago. There's imminent talk of Russia and China nuking America. Now we also see their symbolisms, the four horsemen that are coming out. We have to look at this instead of what's fighting. Now this, I don't want to make doom and gloom. I don't want to create doom and gloom on this channel at all. But the reality is this is possible. Now the only way they're going to get it right is when we're distracted. So we've got to stop being distracted, stop fighting, put down your weapons, put down your words of horribleness, put down your judgment, stop looking at what others are doing and how they're doing. Look at what's happening here and with your family. Are you and your family in crises? What do you need? Plant food. What do you need? Get stocked up for now. Not crazy, crazy, frantic. Just be sensible. Join hands with your community. Physically now. We've done the spiritual thing, right? Now the next thing is the physical. Physical follows spiritual. Energy first, action second. So this, and I know, Catherine, sorry, I've taken up a lot of time here.
No, it's great.
I just wanted to say that for me, that's the conclusion I've reached in the last 24 hours, and more so after my cat has died. As I'm sitting here, my cat is talking to us. He's like right over there, and this is what he's seeing. I know that when he left, his body was very sick. I know he had cancer. He didn't want me to do anything about it. But I know he took a lot of the cancer for the world with him. If you look at his numerology, 777. And you know that, and his mother came and told me at 2:05 in the morning, that's another 7. Today he left at 8:53, that's another 7. So I look at these things, 7 for me is God's number or source's number. So I think we've got to get practical now. We understand, we know we're spiritually connected. We've got to keep in tune. We've got to keep having our morning hour. We've got to keep investing in ourselves. We've got to keep investing in our relationships, in our well-being, in how we eat, how much we sleep, what we put into our body so that we can be alert and aware and strong and our immune systems are good, so that we know how to deal with this physical onslaught that I do believe is planned against us. Whether they get it right or not is another story. It's up to us. That's what I say. So we need to find those solutions. How are we going to create our communities? Who's going to do what? what person is going to get connected with that, and how are we going to act on it? You know, what do we get 3 or 4 people and we just start trading veggies, and we start a group and we start trading meat and veggies and whatever it is you eat, guys. You know what I'm saying? This is the way I believe we've got to start becoming self-sufficient in a major way and working with each other, because everybody has a different talent that can come together, and then we are able to.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all of that. I think one of the challenges I see to that, because we want to try and provide solutions to you guys, but also we know from the comments we get some of the challenges you're currently facing. And one of the challenges that I'd like your opinion on, Morne, is a lot of people, their communities that they've formed part of over the last couple of years have been global, because they haven't necessarily found like-minded people who are on the same wavelength as them or energy frequency as them locally. So when we're talking about now the practical side of things, it's like I could look at me and I could say, like, yeah, my neighbours, we're all quite lucky. We all own decent plots of land, not big, but certainly big enough to grow a lot of fruit and vegetables on, and more vegetables in the UK climate. But if they're not even aware of any of this, because they're not aware of the same things that we think we're aware of, how do people tackle that? Have you got any thoughts on that, Morne?
It's perfect, because it aligns with exactly what I wanted to add to what Chanti just said. We as humans need to get over our indifferences.
Yeah.
We have to become the family. So if you still have family issues and you still can't forgive your mom, then how the hell are you going to start loving a stranger in that sense?
Yeah.
Family teaches us that you can love somebody, but not necessarily like somebody. That's what family teaches us. We really went through it.
Oh, yes.
You can love somebody, but
So true, right? Sorry.
And so that's where we need to start looking. We need to, the person doesn't need to agree with you all the time, but it doesn't mean you can go out and form a relationship. We have to get out of our comfort zones. We have to realize that we are in this together, and collectively we are creating this world. So the thing would be, go push your boundaries, go connect with somebody on another level. I'm sure you will find a way to connect with that person. You don't necessarily have to talk about Russia or something like that. Maybe you can connect on another level. Maybe it's art, or maybe it's something else. But at the end of the day, we need to start creating that community and start getting over that indifferences and just accept each other and love each other, knowing that you don't necessarily have to like everything they do or who they are. But I think that is a big step that we need to take, because right now we're connecting on a global level. Awesome. Yes, you feel like, oh, there's people resonating with me. But as humans, we need touch, and we need to reach out. So if you can see something that somebody else cannot see, somehow your social responsibility would be to help that person see the truth. Not by slamming it in your face and saying it. So it's just by helping them, maybe with small things. It means like, you've got issues with your mom. Okay, cool. Talk to me about your mom, Let's see, That's always the first thing when clients come to me. I was always like, so how's your relationship with your mom and your dad? First thing, Shanti taught me well, because there you really can see what kind of stuff inside of you can start shifting. And if you can start shifting that core stuff inside of you, then it's easy to get along with your neighbor. It's easy to see that we all have the same shit, basically, just in different places. So I think the key would be just to get out of our comfort zones and start the global community, start that within your own community. Start talking to each other. Don't push your things on each other, just as you don't like people pushing their stuff onto you. But we have to realize, if we're not going to come together as a unit, the forces that be can easily do what they want. Although I don't believe they're going to succeed, but we have to do it. It's not like Trump is going to save us or stuff like that. We have to get out of that mindset of something's going to save it just in time.
Absolutely.
The only force that can do that is God. But God respects our free will. And God wants us to get off of our asses. God doesn't want to give us a solution. The solution is for us to find the solution, because in that we find out. Yeah, that's what God wants for us, to become what He created us to be. So
I love that so much. And there's so many important things there, because what we were talking about, and the only reason, folks, that we're talking about the division in whatever you want to call the disclosure community, doesn't matter what you call it, is because it's always a reflection of what's going on in these micro communities, is always a reflection of what's going on the bigger planetary level. And the thing is like, there's so much energy that goes into people creating division. There's so much energy to people saying negative things to each other. There's so much energy about, I had a conversation with Bryce and Jamie Fillet yesterday about, are people listening to find fault, or are they listening from a place of respect and love? And you know, we're criticizing the master controllers, as we call them. We refuse to call them the elites because they're not. But we criticize them, but then we're displaying the same behavior ourselves with the frustration. And I think you've both hit the nail on the head. And what we want to talk about today is, okay, how can we get around those solutions? How can we get around our ego of wanting to be right? How can we get around our need for people to agree with us or see our points of view? How can we get past all that and really start implementing these solutions and being the example that we want to see in our new world? Because that's the vibration that we need to make sure that we're going on the right timeline, not on the negative timeline. I mean, what do you think about that, Chanti, and how you two are masters of practical solutions for getting past that? Because the ego and the need to be right and the need to be seen and agreed and heard is a biggie, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I think exactly what Morne was saying as well. It starts with at home. You know, the first thing that we need to look at is how can we change our situation at home? If we're fighting all the time, and if whatever is chaos, we need to, as a family and as parents of the family, sit and find solutions. That's the first thing. You can't come up with anything unless there's peace in the home. You cannot come up with positive outcomes when there's chaos and craziness going on the inside. Simple as that. And how do you find that? When each of you decide that you are equally responsible for the well-being of what happens in your home. So both of you would then either need to decide, and I'm talking about, let's say, couples, parents, would need to decide, what are you going to do with your relationship? If you're that desperately unhappy, decide to split up amicably and decide how you want to move forward in an amicable way. It's got to come from a peaceful resolution, because if there's not peace that's holding, okay, let's say, for example, a divorce is happening because we just can't get on. Now, I'm taking a negative scenario because I want people to see that this is very possible and probable in most people's situations, because we've been learning so much over the 2 years in this time of lockdown, just how much we need to be creative, we need to be happy, what we want, what we don't want, now that we have had time to sort of root in and reconnect with ourselves again. So it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Let's find peace in a painful divorce. Let's go through understanding that even though we hate moving apart or splitting, our codependent relationship doesn't work. So the first thing is to take those practical steps. And at the same time, and it can happen synchronistically, is reach out to, let's say, if you're more comfortable, your family, your sister, your brother. Say, you know what, I've got a great idea. I'd like to start knitting squares for the children's home or the old age home. Do you know that people can do that? Or maybe start collecting for whatever. Or let's start a veggie planting project. Maybe your neighbors. Maybe it can start with 2 or 3 people. And those people start with another 2 or 3 people. And how does that change? I mean, we look at the 100 monkey syndrome. Before you know it, it's catching on. It's catching on. It's catching on. And then more and more people are doing it. So my whole thing is, it's not about what you do. We've been doing all of this working and planting and growing for decades. Where's it gotten us? If If I was an alien looking down on planet Earth to see the corruption, the mayhem, the wars, the distraction, I would say that hasn't really gotten us very far. First thing we have to do is connect spiritually back to your source creator so that you this tree growing, not cut off at the roots all the time, but you're growing and you're blossoming. You feel connected. You feel like you want to reach out. You want to branch out. You feel like you want to start growing some leaves. You feel like you're ready to start giving some fruit, bearing some fruit. It's a process that takes you there. But you're not going to get there unless you've planted the seed and you've nurtured it and you've taken care of your environment. That's the first thing. We have to do that, whether we like it or not. Relationships with our nearest and dearest are the most challenging and the ones we least love to do, but I will tell you always the most important. You don't have to make peace with the person, but you make peace with yourself around what the lesson for you with that person was. That's where the peace comes in. And then you can thrive. You don't, most of us think others are dependent on our happiness. Well, he says this and he won't this and he this and she that and da-da-da-da. You're attracting that. So if you want to get out of that, you've got to change what is in you. So we've been talking about that for a long time. Now that we have that, okay, now how can we change what's happening around us? And stop accusing people of the most horrific things. If you're on a group that bombs on somebody all the time, get out of it right now.
Right.
I don't care how right you think you are and justified. You are wasting precious God-given energy and you are using it for nefarious purposes. If your intention is to make sure someone gets broken down, or I don't care who the person is or what they've done, I don't care. Creator Source will take care of them. You don't need to take care of them. You take care of yourself.
It's so
And that's the way.
important. It's so important because, you know, where we put our energy is the world we're creating. And, you know, let's take a scenario. Imagine the food shortages hit. Now, what's the lesson that we can get out of there? What's the gift? We know that as a nation, as a species, and then unfortunately we have inflict that on species in our care, that our whole ability to feed ourselves healthily has gone so off par over the last 100 years. So what's the gift in having some of these things restricted from us? Do you think there's something to be learned from that, Morne?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start realizing that we don't need to eat so much.
Yeah. And I'll put my hand up for this. I eat an obscene amount, you know, I do eat a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll start remembering, oh, okay, so that's where a carrot comes from. It doesn't come from the shops. I mean, I saw some Americans comments and stuff. Sorry, America. But I saw like, why would people kill the cows when you can buy it at the supermarket? I mean, there's people that actually thinks that, you know, the supermarket is producing the meat, not thinking that there's actually a slaughterhouse happening. So
Yeah.
just by, if that happens to us, that could be a good thing in the sense that we're being forced to reconnect. So either we get forced or we can start doing it now. So start planting stuff now. Start just reading up about where does the cow come from. But yeah, so in that sense, that's a good thing. I mean, bad stuff in this world, darkness is so important in this world. And when I speak about darkness, it's not a negative thing. I mean, grief. That is dark. It feels dark. You go in this dark place in yourself, alone, nothing can help you. But that grief just fills you up. For the next time that you love, you can love even more.
Yeah.
So that's how important. It gives us color in life. So when bad stuff happens, that's just an opportunity for us to grow, expand, learn, or choice is ours. So if that happens, I think so people could just realize we eat way too much and we don't need that much. And maybe we could start doing some sun breathing and but yeah, I think it's going to be hard on a lot of people. So, but yeah, for me, you know, if it has to happen, it's our fault. It's our fault. We can blame the biggies, the baddies as much as we want. But how many times have we neglected to teach ourselves about growing food? How many times have we neglected ourselves from learning about, processed stuff, all this stuff? We've just said yes, 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 yes. It's our fault. So we stop blaming and stop looking
Yeah.
for somebody else to save us at this point of the timeline. Right now, it's just, I mean, if everybody just started a little herb garden on their window shell, I think the ripple effect, like we said, the monkey thing, once just small people start doing it, and I think it's already happened, just little
Yeah.
communities starting to do it, it somehow, somewhere, somebody else is starting to do it as well. So just start small, just start with yourself. And this is how we're going to avoid if that happens, if
It's-
that's going to happen or not. But just start now. Don't wait for it to happen. And
don't forget your pets as well for what they need. So, for example, I don't eat meat. My human family don't eat meat, but my four-legged family, some of them do. So
yeah.
it's a question of really looking at this and being creative. But we can do it, both of you, can't we? It's so important we do it from a place of empowerment. I mean, anyone who watches me knows I love Joe Dispenza. And as Joe Dispenza says, you can make quantum changes like this from a place of devastation. So you can wait till everything's hit rock bottom and be forced to make a change, or you can create those changes from a place of love and joy and peace. And I think this is a message, both you'll make the changes. So, whatever your soul contract is, but we can all make things a lot easier on ourselves, to actually not wait till it becomes a crisis situation. I mean, both my parents grew up their whole childhood, they were on rationing, living in London. My dad was born during the war, Second World War. My mum was born just at the end of it, I think. And that was a part and parcel of their things. They did never had this excess, and that stayed with them for throughout their whole life. As a child, we didn't waste things. We never threw food away. And we ate real food. I was 18 before I had my first takeaway. Before I had a Chinese. I can remember it distinctly. Lucy, my friend's birthday, her parents took us out for Chinese, and I was like, wow. But in all seriousness, it's like there's a beauty in returning to some of these simple things in life, because look at how physically we all talk about movement a lot, don't we, and how important that is in terms of there's nothing like physical exertion for getting you back into the here and now and the present moment. And what better way to do it than to be gardening or looking after animals, or doing something creative that's a survival thing, rather than just going to spend an hour in the gym.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely. A lot
Exactly.
more creative than the gym, that's for sure.
Chopping wood.
Yeah.
There's a big one around here. It's we've got a lot of fallen wood in the trees and everything. And one of my neighbors, he spends a lot of time just going and collecting all the fallen wood and everything and chopping it. And I tell you what, his wood store is enough to keep him going for years.
Wow.
It's
It's
amazing.
amazing.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
it is. And it's so true, I mean, I think for me, the whole key to all of this is just we being warned, we saying all the time, they've been telling us since forever what they're doing through symbolism. Yes, they're telling us again.
Yes.
They're still showing us. So let us not see this in hindsight. Let us be clever. Let us look and go, diversion, we know now they create psyops and diversions. So instead of getting caught up in this craziness, let's just, as I said, shift our focus and look at a lot of the stuff that's really going on amongst the world leaders. That's where we see the true stuff, what's going on. It really is. I'm not into politics and about this and that, but especially at these times, we've got to see, because that's where they're wielding their power, is within the world, the politicians, and what countries are doing to each other. And if it's true what they're saying, and I've heard this now from several people, that they're looking at nuking America, and God forbid that should happen. But if that does happen, we're all in shit, guys, all of us. because we understand how the knock-on effect of that's going to be as well. And you know, it really is a time that we stand up and disempower them. We disempower them by empowering ourselves, because they're not feeding off our energy anymore. They're not feeding off our fear anymore. And if anyone doesn't think people don't feed off your fear, think again, because I promise you that's like juicy steak for them. The fears and the pain and that's why they create so much of it in their ritual sacrifices. So now let's physically not just sit and computer and watch YouTube, that as well. It's how we keep ourselves informed. But now let's act on that information.
It's so
It's time
important, isn't it? What would you both say to people? I know I've got my ideas, but I want to hear yours about, so a lot of people, we were talking about this toxic positivity a bit yesterday with Jamie and Bryce, and there's a big difference between talking about these things that they are all in plain sight trying to warn us. There's a big difference between that and attracting that timeline, isn't it? And the way I put it, for me, is when we're having these conversations, I can genuinely say I'm not feeling fear around them. I'm not feeling fear, because forewarned is forearmed. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to give myself a big kick up the backside, because I have been spending too long in front of the computer, and we've got a drought in the UK and my vegetable garden is a bit depleted. So that there is me sort of realizing that I've got too much focus in the wrong area, and I need to sort of free up some time to get back out there with my veggies. But what would you both say about this? If people are listening to this and thinking you mustn't be talking about these terrible things because it's going into that, it's putting energy into that timeline.
Well, I can definitely, that what you resist or deny usually persists and comes to truth. So if you're like avoiding or don't want to watch somewhere, look somewhere, it's fear, and fear attracts fear. So best to face your fears. So look at it, and it's how you do it. It's how you do it with your energy. Are you going to stay in that fear or panic or anything? Then you're going to, yes, then you're going to maybe also attract it more. But if you hide away from it or avoid it, that's that toxic positivity thing, then you're not going to get. I always say I'm a realistic optimist. So first I'm realistic, then I'm optimistic. You have to be realistic. You have to look at these things. It's the same as anything in your life, you know. No, I don't want to go to my brother. He's so toxic, you know. It's just not good for my energy. It's just bad. I can't focus on that now. It's just making me feel bad. Well, you're going to feel bad, and that's going to sit in your energy no matter what you do. You avoid it or think it's not. You just, I'm not going to think about it. It's still sitting there. And when you're 80, you're going to have cancer, and oh, suddenly, yeah, it's back. Peekaboo. So I think it's always good to talk about these things and bring solutions like we love to do. You know, it's like, okay, this is real. Okay, cool, or not, but what we're going to do. And I had this little voice saying earlier, so if a nuke is coming to us, how is gardening going to help us? And I have an answer for that. If our positive energy doesn't stop that, well, it's going to happen anyway. So would you rather be there in your life, or would you be there in your life? You know, you can either go with that peace because it's fine, or you can go with that fear. And so either way, what you do now is your peace of mind now. And it's not like you can go stop the nukes for yourself, but you can start creating a ripple effect, and energy has effect, and, you know, energy is stronger than physical. So, and if we're going to die, at least we die happy. And, you know,
one thing.
Sorry, carry on, Chanti.
Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing for sure is that we're all going to die. And obviously, you know, that's a given. So, I believe that our quality of life is super important as well. So I come here to have a great quality of life, and I absolutely own that, and I intend to do it.
I've done a series a little while back on manifest. I read the Roxy Nafosi manifest book, and I know all of us, you know, we're really into manifesting, but the whole point about manifesting is taking inspired action in the direction you want to go. So for me, I don't feel, and this is just in case anyone's watching this and thinking, no, mustn't talk about these things. For me, it's the opposite. It's like when I talk about these things, I go through that stage of like, shit, what about my sisters? What about my mum? What about my animals? What about all their animals? Because my whole family have loads of animals and things. And then once I've gone that, I go into, right, now this is what I can do about it mode. And it feels so great. It's like that satisfaction when you've had a really productive day. I was talking to my daughter and my son, they're both amazing sports people. And, you know, that satisfaction when you've really used your body. I think that's why we have this obsession with watching sports. Well, certainly in the UK and our family do, because when you see what the human body is capable of, well, that's one thing. When you see what the human heart and mind together with this heart-brain coherence are powerful of, we all know that spontaneous healing is absolutely possible, but you've got to work those muscles. You've got to work those muscles. And by taking inspired action in a direction that's completely opposite to the negative timeline, to me is the most positive thing. That's just the way I look about it. It feels really constructive, and it feels like it's balancing out a lot of the negative energy to me.
Yeah, if you get that inspiration, act. I mean, a lot of people get moments of inspiration, but they don't act on it.
Yeah.
And then it goes away again. I mean, inspiration is my thing, so I get lots of it. But I mean, there was many times that I didn't act on it, and it's like, damn, that was the right opportunity. Shanti will know about that. So if you get that
So many
inspiration,
times for myself, definitely over the years, like, damn, why didn't I think about
Yeah.
that? But you know, I guess that's part of the journey as well, is to just is to kind of realize, well, you know, um, to recognize that inspiration when it occurs and then act on it. So it's all, you know, it's part of the learning process as well. I don't believe we're meant to take every single opportunity that comes our way. Part of that is to realize as well that, oh dear, that intuition is to show me that I need to act. So I really think that this is the time for us to act now, you know. And you know, just to also add to what you guys were saying earlier in terms of, you know, just looking at this toxic positivity. Honestly, you know, we understand there's duality on this planet. And we understand that the light dissolves the dark if we focus it and if we shine it in the intended way or place that works. You know, so it really is about understanding that the world is full of pain. How this is how child trafficking got to get to 8 million kids a year. That's just the registered ones, because too many people were looking away and ignoring what's going on right under our noses. We ignored the signs. We ignored looking deeper. We ignored researching what is happening. You know, with many things, we left it to others to do. I'm guilty of that. I'm
Yeah.
not even going to deny that. I'm definitely one of those. And if I look back now at just how often I did that in my life, it was like crazy. It's actually crazy. Not to say you've got to do everything yourself. Absolutely. There's people that, you know, we're here for each other, to help and support each other. But at the end of the day, it's about standing strong in your own self, taking the inspired action. And, you know, inspired action is coming from that little voice within that you know what you know, what you know, what you know, rather than motivate yourself. To motivate yourself means you're going to get a kick in the bum and you might be motivated for 3 days. Inspiration is something that comes from within, and it's a permanent thing. It's like that internal waterfall or well that just keeps, you know, giving water type thing. But it really is. So understanding that the things we're facing right now are far from pretty. And as you guys were saying as well, that's largely due to our own ignorance, because we've allowed it through ignoring it.
Yeah. Where we have put our attention to.
You know, it's taken. Oh, sure. Okay. Sorry, did I freeze there?
Yeah, sorry, there's a little bit of a delay. So if we look like we're talking over each other, it's not intentional. It's just there's a delay, so we don't realize. So
Yeah, no problem, Shame. Okay, but yeah, as I was just saying, I think it's just really about understanding. All of us have to do our thing. We need to join hands with each other. If your neighbors are your neighbors for the moment, there's a reason that they're there. And if they irritate you, maybe this is a good time to put all your irritations down. And as Morne says, look beyond that and connect and understand we're all in this together. We're all walking this path together, and physically to start doing things. It's not easy to see what we're seeing, but the only reason things got out of hand to the point that they are is because we turned a blind eye. No more.
Yeah. And I would say for anyone that's sort of thinking it's all right, we don't have to worry about this, I would just encourage you to go and look at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games that have just happened in Birmingham.
I saw that. Yeah.
Absolutely shocking. Now, that doesn't mean that I am at all doom and gloom. Does his face look like it's doom and gloom? What I'm saying is I'm not prepared to sit back on my backside and do nothing. What I'm prepared to do is to make a difference in whatever way, looking after my own family first and sharing what we can do and learning from the community. And I think this is how we change things around, because the distraction, bringing it full circle back to where we started about talking, these distractions have been going on for more years than we care to remember. Distraction and division are the easiest way to stop people being sovereign.
Yeah.
And we can stop that by stopping allowing ourselves to be distracted and divided.
Exactly. And you know, I want to just say the biggest divider is religions, different sects or religions or something. If we just look back in our history, the greatest wars have been fought in the name of religion. You know, if we're looking at it now, and I'm sorry, I have this theory, again, as I have theories about other things, it just dawned on me the other day. The church is the infiltrator. The church is not being infiltrated. Let's look at the Vatican, Catholic Church, have everything. Never mind all the religious houses, the entire planet, but that's a story for another day. Look at the Vatican, and then we look at the audition room of the Vatican. Hello, head of serpent. We know that. So, yet, and look at the Bible. Now, any Bible that looks remotely like a Catholic Church Bible, if I'm religious and I know what I know, I ain't going near that Bible. I'm going to look for all the missing stuff that they took out of that Bible. And I'm going to take what's in the current Bible with a great pinch of salt. Because that's their narrative, they want you to follow, and they've done it through the church. The church is the infiltrator. So anything that you've been taught in that area, there's always lots of truth, and it's been peppered with lots of untruths as well. So I would say, if we look at that religion, and if we just look at Tartaria as well, and all these supposed religions now were really domes and generators and things, right? It was never about religious division. So I'm going to say, anyone who has a religious fight with anyone else, stop it right now. They want you to do that. They want you to do that. So when you throw down your biblical weapons and look at the heart of the other person, a mother with 3 children, whether she's a Muslim, a Chinese, or Japanese, South African, it's a mother with 3 children. And because she's a different sect to you, does that mean you're going to nuke her now? Rape her? Torture her? Come on. We've got to get back to humanity. We've got to get back to our feeling essence and our connection. And then we're going to see who the good people are. And it doesn't matter what biblical verse you're reading.
Connection is all about it, and it's been the theme of my last week. And look at these two in the background, my 2 dogs sitting there. And what I mean about connection is you won't see any other species, and please don't tell me anyone that it's to do with consciousness. Try looking at a whale or a dolphin's consciousness and tell me they're not as conscious as humans. You know, way beyond. It's like no other species on the planet is racist. No other species on the planet has religious divide. No other species on the planet cares about their appearance. You know, yes, they'll attract things in different ways, but you know, the bird isn't saying, look, peacock, you're a bit fat, I don't fancy you today. They're like, are you
No, I don't know
vibrant?
about birds,
And
eh?
my body.
Birds like to show off. I don't know about birds. Birds like to show off.
They love to show off, but they're showing off their vibrant energy and their ability to thrive and raise young. It's not about superficial, whether your bum's the right shape and things like that. It's just hysterical. So what I would say is, like, you know, all of us, this connection, it all goes back to everything being connected and respecting every sort of stage of the ecosystem and being aware. You know, go watch that Commonwealth Games opening ceremony, but don't watch it from a place of fear. Watch it from a place of, and I'm not here to tell anyone what to do, we're just giving suggestions that you can take or leave as you feel. And that is really important. I would say, you know, only take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. But when
Absolutely.
I watch it, I'm like, I've got you. I know I still can't rest on my laurels. It's not invoking fear in me. It's invoking okay, right, I need to up my game a bit now.
Yeah. I just want to add before I forget that Chanti just spoke about religion. For me, the key word here is faith. Because a lot of people confuse religion with faith. And if you can control somebody's faith or manipulate somebody's faith, that is has anybody ever asked themselves why they believe green is prettier than blue for them? Why do you believe that? You know, why do you believe green is prettier than blue for you? Why do you believe the sun rises? Why do you believe the earth is round? Whatever. But I mean, our faith is so intricate inside our design, yet so little of us actually spend time with ourselves to actually question, what do we believe? And why do we believe this? Oh my God, do I believe this because grandma always believed this? But it's actually, now that I think it doesn't make sense anymore, you know, we don't question our faith because we have allowed everybody to tell us what to believe. The church, the medicine, the everything. So it's a real good thing to go look at. It's like, what do you believe? And it's not religious, it's everybody has a faith. You believe in everything, why the green and everything. So that's also a nice place to go start looking at. Why do you believe this? Why do you believe the world is going to go into Armageddon? Why do you believe God can save us? Or why do you believe, you know, all these kind of questions. If you go ask yourself why you believe it, you will find who you truly are. And a lot of those beliefs will transform into something way more profound.
Oh, I've loved this, guys. I might have to get you back if you can fit me in. I've absolutely loved it. I think it's, you know, I hope the listeners have loved it. I hope you feel empowered to sort of take action, and I hope you enjoy taking that action. For me, I'm really enjoying learning how to grow vegetables. Might sound silly, but you know, I'm having to learn how to nurture them and how to share them with the butterflies and the caterpillars. The butterflies and caterpillars seem to know a lot more than I do.
love that.
You know,
That's so cute, Catherine. That's so cute. Sharing your veggies with the butterflies and the caterpillars. That's really cute.
I just will say, I said to my neighbour, like, she was over for a glass of wine last summer, and I was really getting into growing my vegetables last summer. And I said to her, oh, it's so gorgeous, all these beautiful butterflies, look at all this. And then I realised they'd all laid caterpillars, and the caterpillars had eaten all my broccolis. And I was like, okay, now there's got to be a bit more boundaries put here. Okay, you've got the buttler over there as well, bugger off there. But I really hope that, you know, I'm really looking forward to other people's suggestions and looking forward to continuing this discussion. Any closing thoughts from you first, Chanti?
You know, I really just think we've got to stop taking everything so seriously. This is a very serious time. I get it, okay? But we must always remember just to step back, take a breath, look at nature, look at what's happening around you. Look at, take a walk on the beach, take a walk in the forest, play with your animal. Give yourself a breather. There is so much good in life, and it's so important to focus on that as well. And you know, and it's not about we were talking about that toxic positivity, just love and light, and that's all I look at. You know, that's not all. there's a lot of other things, but when you bring that into the other things, it kind of makes the other things lighter and more bearable. So remember to have fun, laugh, spend a happy time with your families and your kids and your siblings and your parents and whoever. It's such an important time, this. And that's it. Just remember to...
Internet's gone.
Yeah, she froze.
Yeah.
Remember to have fun. That's so important at this.
There we go.
Come back.
Thank you, Chanti. What about you, Morne?
Yeah, I agree with Chanti. I agree completely. We have to have that balance and realize, even though we have to face what's going on in this crazy world right now, we also need to focus on what makes life all worth it and how beautiful it is. I mean, God's creation, this beautiful planet we live on, it's amazing. So we need that balance for our own mental health. And as corny as it might seem, love is the solution. It's the solution for all. So do what you love, find what you love,
Brilliant.
question what you love. You know, that song, Accidentally, We're All Addicted to Love. It's so true. We are addicted to love. Some people love drama. Think about it. Do you want that drama anymore? Are you going to change your love? Are you going to focus your love into another area in your life? Love is what makes this world go around. And it's not the corny kind of love. It's that in-driven thing inside of us. So I would just say, do more of what you love, explore more of what you love, and less of what you fear. Without, but doesn't mean you can avoid fear. You still have to go face your fears. But the more love you have and the more focused you are, the easier it is to face fears and transform it and realize it's gone. But yeah, I agree with Chanti. Have fun, feel good, and if you're not having fun and not feeling good, then it's your responsibility to find that for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you. For anyone that lives near me and you want to start growing your own vegetables, I have the biggest muck heap of organic, beautiful horse manure that you could ever wish for. Years of collecting horse poo have gone into that, and I could be very rich. I could be sitting on a gold mine. So that's my fun. I knew there was a reason why I've been picking for so many years. Thank you so much, both of you. I love that today. Big hugs to you, Chanti, and to you, Morne, and we will be back. Thank you for anyone that's watched us. We appreciate you all.
Okay, guys.